Hey everybody, want to Wisdom here. It is Monday, July 1st, 2013. I believe this is Canada Day. I follow Mike Holmes on Twitter. I think it ties in with the day, not 100% sure on that. So, happy Canada Day to the Canadians and people that care. But past that, everyone here in the U.S. probably getting ready for the 4th of July, Independence Day. Got a ton of stuff I need to do. It's really hard to keep up with it. There's been really bad storms. It was Thursday, I think, of last week. Might have been Wednesday, I'm not sure, but been getting a lot of rain, but the storms that come with it are the bad part. It turned trash cans over. It actually snapped I don't know how many power poles. That's the night I was complaining I was actually going to do this then, and can't do much when you don't have lights, internet, etc. But I was literally in the dark. I guess theoretically I could have filmed it, just talking in a dark room, but it's been pretty interesting here lately, just real busy. Just cranked out earlier today a video. It's going to be basically the remaining clips I had from inside the actual Activision Swap Force booth. It's kind of like a hodgepodge of stuff. Right at the start it was super loud. You know, there's like tons of people. It's literally like the Skylanders there. That's how you were, just kind of piled in. The lighting all over E3 was pretty, I mean, it was cool when you were there, you know, because it would like change colors and cast shadows and whatnot, but if you're like trying to take a picture, it's not anywhere close to ideal. Obviously video is the same way. You don't have a flash working in your favor. There could be times, you know, I could hold Jet Vac up here and I mean it would just be, you just see black, and then you kind of have to tilt him, and if you'd hold the camera still long enough, you know, the lights would eventually kind of come back and you could see them. Made things pretty interesting. However, we basically spent some time in there, you know, did the try to win E3 hot dog, which obviously that worked out well because they gave them to us. But went backstage. I've got that up. I've showed you the E3 exclusive trailer. I can't stress enough, it is entirely different. Same premise, of course, but it adds a lot. Namely, it's like, you know, poking jabs, you know, at the actual E3 attendees as bloggers and whatnot. But more importantly, from our end of the Swap Force side of the spectrum, you get a feel for a lot of the characters. You hear their voices, kind of get a feel for how they'll interact. You definitely want to check that out. The thing that I left out of the actual booth footage was the 3DS stuff, because I made a standalone video on that. I skimmed things this afternoon. Apparently not many people have read or watched that video because they're still debating horribly wrong things about the 3DS version of Swap Force. Hopefully you see this and realize that you don't need to worry about things anymore. But past that, it's kind of just looking at the games a little bit, you know, holding the characters in hand. One of the big deals I've seen lately is people want to know, like, how big is a Swap Force character compared to regular character and a giant. To me, they're just slightly big. I mean, they're not as big as giant. They're, you know, easy to fit in your hand. Terrafin and Slam Bam are actually two of the bigger guys, Series 2 wise. Terrafin just obviously comes up. He's got the height working for him. Slam Bam Series 2 pose is pretty wide. They're a little bit taller than that, I'd say. Not near as big. You can kind of see Warnado coming up to Crusher. I'd put them, maybe if we had to scale that on like a, you know, a third of the size, you know, we'll say. I mean, I'd say that the Swap Force characters basically fit in there in like the 33 to 50%, you know, basically of the giant. What's left, that is. So essentially take Warnado right there, take Granite Crusher behind him, make a Swap Force character, meet him about halfway in some cases, a little more, a little less in others. That's what I'd say, just to ballpark it and attempt to help you visualize it. That said, if you watch the videos, I'll get some still shots up for you coming up. I think that'll help out. I did. This is finally a part you can hear Karthik actually talk. He is a head at Vicarious Visions, obviously. We're going to go through the entire lineup after hours. Didn't get to do that. They were actually, Rob from Coin Op was actually filming there. But still, we got a little bit of information. A lot of this stuff that myself and the others have, kind of reported back, people are like not believing it and debating it. I don't know why, but like I've said a million times, I mean, I don't fabricate stuff. I just do what's factual, what I know to be true, and in this case, it's firsthand. It's the absolute best I can do. If you're wondering why I didn't shoot a lot of gameplay footage like everyone else, it's because I was actually trying to get your questions answered. I literally had the video posted on a couple of sites, the forums, and the blog, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus. Tried to find out what you wanted to know about Swap Force, and that's actually what I did and focused on entirely. Every chance I had, I was asking questions. Really cool opportunity, getting to go through basically the top of Activision, and then the developers, from Vicarious Visions. But I think what we will do is I'll just kind of start in. I have a blog post. It was like 2 a.m. Pacific, 4 a.m. Central Standard Time after E3 when I pinned all this out on the blog. No video's been associated with it. Again, I realize a lot of people prefer videos over the textual form, but it's been there on the blog literally since the night of E3. If you've read that, I'll add a little bit to it here. The stuff I'm adding is obviously the really cool stuff. I didn't want to spill the beans on immediately. But, if you need to reference it, take the blog link I'll throw up. But I will go ahead and just get started here. Come in, I've got it on reader. Okay, I'm going through. By the way, if you still have questions, like I said, I've seen a ton of people debating stuff still. There's a lot of questions that have come up about the information, kind of like, oh, how could that be, etc. If you still have questions, by all means, tell me. Post it on the blog. That's your best bet. Here's a comment to the video. I'll try to archive that as well. I have an in there willing to let me submit more questions, see if we can't get answers. Not sure at what point I'm going to start to annoy people, but hey, the opportunity presents itself. They want to share the information with us. In some cases, for example, the character roster in its entirety, obviously they're not going to release that to us, but I'm willing to ask, willing to try. It doesn't ever hurt anything. And from time to time, we may actually get some cool information. So I've got quite a few. Obviously, I've got some things we didn't get answered or find out from E3. There's been some things since that it'd be really advantageous to the community to have solid answers for. And I've actually come up with some stuff since then. Primarily, like, how will the Swap Force characters be sold? We're going to see them single pack, double packs. I thought that would work well for them. It actually makes the most sense to me to have them in a double pack as opposed to a triple. That would keep the price high. It would keep the concept clear. You're going to swap, top to bottom on both sides. You could do nice box art with it. Little things like that I've come up with in the meantime. I'm going to send them all off. The way it works, Justin, I'll send everything to him. He will take the questions, attempt to send them to the person most likely to give us the best information or be the most knowledgeable. And assuming someone takes the time to answer it or share what they can or, will share with us, relay it back to him. He'll either forward it to me or, just send it off in an email. And at that point in time, I will relay it to you. So, bottom line, still working on this. There's obviously a lot of stuff we couldn't cover, just wasn't enough time. You could spend like 2 weeks there and probably miss out on stuff. Something important, post up. I'll do my best to get it answered. If I can't, I will try. So, that said, the big questions coming in were, I'm just kind of going in logical order here based on the blog post actually. Starter pack characters. Kind of what I categorize this one. First off, what about the console versions? It's going to be Wii. That's developed by Beanox. Again, I think I've mentioned this many times. I've still seen people debating it. I've asked straight to the top, Vicarious Visions, Activision, both. The Beanox version for the Wii is going to be the exact same game as you're going to have on all the other consoles, with the exception it's not going to have the new graphics engine. So take it with a grain of salt. If you don't have a Wii U and you just got the Wii, don't freak out. All you're going to miss out on is the graphics. That said, I plan to pick it up on the Wii U version because I was there in person and the game looked awesome. As you know, I'm not a graphics guy. Super Mario World remains one of my favorite games. Just take a look at that. It's actually good for the time. But bottom line, a game could come out today that doesn't have good graphics, and I would love it if it's a good game. I keep it simple. The people that go on and on about the graphics usually don't put much stock in the gameplay. That said, I feel like Swap Force is a nice combination of the two. Looked great, not only visually, i.e. the graphics, but actually the gameplay as well. PS4 and Xbox One, I know some of you are probably curious about that. Think back to the Wii U this past year. It came out, November-ish, somewhere in there. Skylanders launched middle of October, or Giants, that is. I went ahead, that's why I have the Wii version, because I didn't want to wait for the Wii U version, a month later. So essentially what they're going to do, we'll just say the PS4 and Xbox One both hit Black Friday. I don't know when they're going to release, I'm just theoretically here. Skylanders will be a launch day title for those two consoles. That's been confirmed. That said, the console versions are going to come with Washbuckler. He is Water Element Swap Force, Blast Zone, Fire Element Swap Force, and then of course Ninja Stealth Elf. She is Life Element Series 3. Again, this is another thing people have debated. Stealth Elf, she was there in SSA, that's Series 1. She was reposed in Giants, so that is Series 2. And then in Swap Force, she is back as Ninja Stealth Elf. That is Series 3. Chill, which I'll just go ahead and grab her right here. This is technically Series 1 Chill. Why? Because it's the first time she's appeared. It's her Giants pose. None of that matters. It's the first time she was posed. She's back as Blizzard Chill in Swap Force. That makes Blizzard Chill a Series 2. Assuming in the next game, if she's back, that will be her Series 3 pose. People are trying to make this really complicated. I don't know why. But it will be Series 1, 2, and 3. It literally goes along with the repose. I did ask, and we'll just say Camo. This is Series 1 Camo. As you know, Camo is one of the castaways, obviously with 7 of his friends here. Essentially what I mean by castaway in my little side of the world, he did not get a repose in Giants. If he does come back, and I did ask this, some of the castaways, they couldn't tell me which ones, but some of the guys that didn't get reposes are coming back. We'll say that he's one, again, just theoretically. They gave us no information, no confirmation on this. If he's back, it should be a Series 2 Camo. Obviously, it's probably going to have some adjective in front of his name. Melon Camo, Relentless Camo. I don't know what it'll be. But that will be his Series 2 pose. It won't be a deal where he was in SSA, missed out on Giants, and then he reappears as a Series 3. Not the case. He was in SSA for the first time, didn't appear in Giants, so if he comes back for Swap Force, it will be a Series 2 pose. Again, that's straight from the pretty darn near the top of Activision, so if that changes, it will be news to me. But again, keep it simple. That's what they do. Spyro is another one like Stealth Elf. He was there, SSA, Series 1. Giants, Series 2. He's coming back in Swap Force. That'll be Series 3. That's all there is to it. If we see Chill and Sprocket in Swap Force, they'll be Series 2. If we see Warnado, Dino Ring, any of those guys there, the castaways, that will be a Series 2 pose in Swap Force. If you recall from my Power A video, they actually had this sweet product display, and there on the sidebar it actually called out the characters. If this was Blizzard Chill, you'd have Series 2 on this left-hand sidebar where the iPad mini's touching. Series 3 is the same way, like with Lava Bar for Rupture. So again, keep it simple. I was there, I asked, that's what they said. Don't tear yourself apart trying to debate it. It's really pretty simple. That said, getting back to what we were trying to cover, the 3DS, and this is really, really cool. Something that kind of wasn't ideal with Giants on the 3DS was simply the starter pack characters. You basically got duplicates. Obviously, Punch Pop Fizz was awesome. But then you get T-Rex and Cinder, and it's kind of like, oh, I've already got them. You know, it didn't add anything. Like, say on launch day, you went out and bought Wii version and the 3DS version. You essentially got nothing aside from Punch Pop Fizz, which is cool, but you had the duplicates, which that part sucked. If you recall, in SSA, that was not the case. I think we had, obviously, Console had the faithful trio, if you will, Spyro, Trigger Happy, Gilgrunt, and then on the 3DS, if you picked it up, we had obviously Dark Spyro, kind of your like Cons 3DS exclusive, if you will. Then we had Stealth Elf and Igniter. The reason that was awesome is you essentially bought the 2 starter packs and you got 2 different characters, you know, outside of the Dark Spyro. They've returned to that here, and that is going to be awesome, particularly if you're a 3DS owner. If you don't have a 3DS, I could see where you'd come from in your complaints. If you recall, Igniter was not available for a long time. I know a lot of people actually bought the 3DS packs, broke them down, sold Stealth Elf in the game, etc. This time around, the 3DS version is going to have Free Ranger. He is the Air Element Swap Force character we saw at Power A in their little product demo. That's the first time any of us saw him. Then Rattleshake. He looks very, very cool. Undead Element Swap Force. And then the big deal here, Volcanic Eruptor. It's essentially Eruptor. He's kind of like a blackened version. If you recall, Eruptor is back with a Series 3 pose. It's called Lava Bar for Eruptor. The 3DS one was kind of black and going to be along the lines of Dark Spyro and Punch Pop Fizz. He is Volcanic Eruptor. That makes the 3DS starter pack a killer deal. And let me just go ahead before I do that. Again, this is something that I thought was awesome, and apparently not many people have seen the video or read the blog. You know, I don't mean this as like the viewers that are regularly here. I just mean like in general. I saw a thread today where everyone was debating, you know, why don't they let us have more than 2 Skylanders? Horrible debate at this point because it is going to blow your mind. What they've done, and again, I was there. 3DS guy at the Activision booth was awesome. We essentially on the 3DS, you know, you've got your live screen and your touch screen down here. The touchscreen has 4 elements on the left side, 4 elements on the right side. When I saw that, I said, hey, does this mean I can have 1 of each element? Because that's really what you need to complete the game easily on the go. Granted, you could lose them, they could die, etc. But, you know, that would access the areas for you conveniently. He kind of said no, but he, you know, slyly smiled when he said that. What they have done on the 3DS version, and this is really, really cool. Your entire collection is going to go up. Obviously, you're going to need to use the portal initially, but we'll say that you go out around Christmas time, you're going on a trip to see family, you buy the 3DS version the day before you leave. That night, you load up all your characters. You go on the trip. You don't have to bring the characters. You don't have to bring the portal. You can play them. We'll say theoretically, you've got a tech area you need to get into. You tap tech, tap Drobot. Then we'll say there's like one of those dual element gates, and you've got Washbuckler and Night Shift, and it's, you know, water and you know, we'll say undead and climbing. So you take essentially when you select like the element and you get the Swap Force character, you can basically come in and tap through Essentially, you'd have, your 16 tops and your 16 bottoms. You can essentially just press on the touchscreen and cycle through. We'll say you had washbuckler, and you want to keep the climbing part, which would be the buckler end. You would come up top, and you could just cycle through all the other 15 Swat Force characters. Again, not making this up. I was there, I saw it, I shot video, I played with it. It's a feature. The thing that they were unsure of is if it would support like every character. And what I mean by that is like going back to, like your variants and everything. I did pursue that, and I was told, and this came up from high up, it's going to be everybody. Even if it wasn't, even if it was just Swap Force, that's a huge deal. In all honesty, on the 3DS version, past these castaways here, like if I wanted to play as Mornado, I'd bring him into the Giants 3DS game. That said, personally, on the Giants version, I just kind of use the new characters. That's what I'm interested in. But with the castaways, that would be a really cool feature. It's going to make the game infinitely more playable because you won't have to be bogged down carrying around a portal and figures if you're on the go. It's essentially going to be like your iOS games. Every character is going to be there that you register. You just come in and cycle through and select it, and you're good to go. Obviously, if you want to like transfer the power or whatnot, upgrade, you're going to need to use the portal again. But in theory, you start out, you load up every character you have, and then you just come through. You want to play as Camo, you hit life, cycle through to Camo. It's kind of like your interface on the console games, where you can just like cycle through and see your collection. But in the case of the 3DS, you just tap them, you activate them, they're in the game. Huge improvement there. Continuing on. What we saw, I'm just going to call it like I see it. The 3DS version has Volcanic Eruptor. Again, he is your Punch Pop Fizz, he's your Dark Spyro. That tells me we are going to have a continuation of the in-game variants, the chase variants. Again, we didn't have anything confirmed, but I mean, why would they end it now? And then with Volcanic Eruptor, that pretty much seals the fate that we should have, more characters like Volcanic Eruptor, Punch Pop Fizz, Polar Whirlwind, everything along those lines. The Portal of Power. Big question here was, will it work with the older games? I asked the Activision demo guys behind closed doors. He was unsure. He tried to get me an answer. What he came back with was he thinks so, but he's not sure. Then later in the night, I think it was Guha who I spoke to, and he confirmed that the portal should be just fine with SSA and Giants, backwards compatible essentially. And his logic was, hey, you got the new portal, you don't need to have 3 of them. So could that change? Could it be inaccurate? Possibly. I have no reason to believe it would be. So that'll be pretty cool. Portal itself looks great, real sleek. I didn't actually think to pick it up. I wish I would have, but it's got like ported windows here on the side. I know like some of these, you can have like the light shine through the designs, but the way they did it, kind of like the arched cathedral type windows, it looks really cool, especially with the low light conditions. Alright, next up is legacy characters. This is a term I heard by several folks higher up the chain and in the behind closed doors demo. This doesn't refer to your legendary characters, legendary Spyro, Bash, Chop Chop, etc., but rather established and returning characters. That's essentially, your stealth elf. Chill is going to be there for Swap Force. She would be what they call a legacy character. Contrary to what some have and continue to profess, Activision has full intentions of keeping your previous Skylanders up and running. They realize it is an investment and that now, at this point, each successive series will bring new elements and experiences to the table. They're truly, on the consumer side here, granted they will continue to innovate and make you want the latest and greatest, but your old Series 1 Spyro will be there right along this year's Series 3, fully functional, fully playable. They almost view them like elder statesmen, if you will. They just deserve respect. So Chill, like I said, she's essentially achieved the legacy character status, meaning she's back. They want to make sure that your original Chill, Series 1 from Giants is going to work, just like your Series 1 Spyro, Dark Spyro from SSA. It's just good business. I know a lot of people complain and don't want to believe it, but that's what they do. Again, one of my personal goals at E3 was to find out what's happening to these guys here, the 8 castaways. Among them are some of my favorite characters, and if not my favorite, some of the most memorable. I asked in the Behind Closed Doors demo again, and I was told they will be back. Not all of them, but some of them. Which ones, they couldn't tell us. In all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised to see 4 of them. Now, this is nothing confirmed. This is just me speculating. I don't think we're going to see all of them, or they would have said yes, they'll be back, and would have been a perfect answer. That's what I would have loved to have seen, but some of them will be back. Again, they couldn't tell us which ones, but even if we get 4 of them, that would be pretty awesome. And again, some of these are still... Boomer and Voodoo, they're really kind of like the comeback kids, if you will. They were the shelf warmers, quintessentially always available. Then they got incredibly hard to find. Then when people finally realized that they were a hot item, they started playing them, upgrading them. They realized they were great Skylanders, as are pretty much all of them if you take the time to fully upgrade them. I can't seem to get that across to people enough. That said, you look at Ghost Roaster, Whamshell, to me, I'm not a huge Whamshell fan, but he's been so hard to find for so long. I feel like that's kept him relevant and pertinent. I know some people, I could see him liking him, but when I go down that line, Mornado, Dino Ring, Sunburn, Camo, Voodoo, Boomer, Ghost Roaster, I'd have Whamshell as like 8 on my personal list. I don't put stock in the difficult to find in, but I mean, that's kind of my logic with Drobot. I was afraid he might be like Whamshell, just insanely hard to find. And don't know if that'll be the case, but bottom line, we're going to see some of them come back, and that makes me very happy. The new Series 2 characters will receive a Wow Pow. I think this is something Philip was wondering about off of the blog. So essentially, if you recall, when you upgrade these guys, I think we needed 8520, if I'm not mistaken. Reason for that, the WoW Power ran 3000. That's why, like your Series 2 characters, Slam Bam Terrafin, need 11,520. It should be pretty much the same setup as we saw this time with the Series 2 characters. If you note Blizzard Chill, again, apparently, Ninja Stealth Elf Series 3, Blizzard Chill Series 2, apparently to kind of help distinguish them is what I'm thinking. Just since there are going to be 3 of some, 2 of others, I think they're trying to bring in that adjective to further, delegate things. Obviously the pose is going to help, but if you change up the pose and toss in the name, it's going to create a little bit more diversity there. Kind of enhance, obviously, Ninja Stealth Elf, everyone associated her with a ninja, but now that she's in ninja garb, adds to it. Blizzard Chill looked good. Lava Barf Eruptor is literally barfing Eruptor. Lava. Just kind of makes sense to do that. That way you don't just have to refer to it as like S3 Eruptor or S3 Stealth Elf, etc. You can kind of put a name with them. Kind of make them, more personable, if you will. Let's see here. Alright, so while we've got Series 3 Spyro, there's a Series 2 Chill, and new characters like Countdown and Roller Brawl, they're going to be in their Series 1 trim. This leads me to believe that any Repos Castaway would be labeled accordingly and be a Series 2 for Swat Force, yak. Just an example. Alright, the Series 3 characters like Lava Barf Eruptor, Volcanic Eruptor, whatever adjective Spyro, it's Mega Horn, Mega Ram, something along those lines. Ninja Stealth Elf, they're going to have a new WoW Pow. The way I understood this, and I think this is like a direct line, the old WoW Pow's gone, but it's replaced with a newer, more powerful WoW Pow. So, some of the characters, if you hated their WoW Pow, they'll have a new one that's even supposed to be more wow pow powerful. So, take that for what you will. Next up, this is something of particular interest to me and several others. Will there be any adventure packs this time around? If you recall, Giants, they kind of did away with them. I asked this again backstage at the Activision closed door demo. The answer was yes, there will be 2 new adventure packs. We learned that one of them was going to involve Callie. At the time of writing it, I heard this from one of the developers. They said it would just be a location piece. That made the gears in my head start spinning, and I thought, okay, if there's going to be an adventure pack based around Callie, and it's only going to be a location piece, doesn't it make sense that we could finally do what so many have requested and take essentially another character figure, in this case Chaos, we'll pretend that he's Callie, and have Callie be a figure just like Series 2 Drobot or Polar Whirlwind there. Put her on the portal, instead of being a character in the game, it would unlock a location, a new playable chapter, etc. Since then, I've learned that that's probably not the case. It's going to be like your old format, Slam Bam with the Empire of Ice location piece and 2 magic pieces. Why? Let me reach back here if I can. And if you recall, I got this Wednesday before the Saturday it was released. This is a little GameStop flyer, not their poster, but the flyer about Swat Force. Right down there, you can see the Tower of Time Adventure Pack. It's got Popthorn, the new character, Tower of Time, and then 2 magic pieces. So, I'm thinking it's going to be our old reliable format there for the adventure packs, not the standalone character. However, if anyone is watching this, and I think they actually do, which is a cool thing from a fan perspective, in the future, maybe, expandable stuff, code it in the game, release it later, we could essentially have, instead of Chill, picture Callie here, and instead of Fright Rider, just imagine like a Flynn character, an Arbo. Personally, the one that I think would be perfect for an adventure pack standalone character would be T-Bone. Those are some of my favorite levels to date from the entire Skylander franchise. If you just got in with Giants, T-Bone is actually the guy there. He did like Cadaver's Crypt, a couple of like your undead themed levels in Skylander Spyro's Adventure. Really humorous, use like the skeleton key line, cracks jokes. You see him in Fright Rider's Heroic Challenge, actually, that one where you take gifts to everybody. He was an awesome character, but it's always been an issue, like fans have said, hey, I want a Chaos figure, and man, I'd like Callie, and what if we could have, like the Maybu, and basically any character you're a fan of, have a figure for them, along the lines of these guys. And the question was, well, what would they do? Why would you make it if it doesn't do anything? I think that would be a sweet setup if you could take, say, T-Bone, make him a character. Obviously, if he wasn't playable in-game, he could serve as a location piece. He could, like, unlock things, just something along those lines. That guy, like I said, that was just me thinking. I think that'd be awesome. And that would finally give the die-hard collectors, Skylander fans, a chance to get those type of characters into their collection. Essentially you could like mix in Chaos and Callie and Flynn, etc. And it would also make them functional in a very cool and efficient manner. That said, I don't think it's going to happen this time around, at least in terms of the adventure packs. Based on that GameStop flyer I just showed you, I think it's going to be our old setup from SSA. Nothing wrong with that. But I can tell you, based on the closed doors, one of the adventure packs is supposed to like be very, very Callie-centric, whatever that may mean. Next up, and along similar lines, will there be any battle packs? Answer was yes. There's going to be 2 of them. I'm thinking this would have to follow the same format, particularly since the adventure packs will. We'd basically have characters from opposing elements, we'll say like Hot Dog and Chill, and then in the middle have like a little magic item / unlock new battle arenas for me piece. Should be, again, 2 of them, probably along those lines I just mentioned there, your contrasting characters. Pretty neat. Gameplay questions, and still, I mean, I posted this hours after E3, and there's still people that, don't believe it and question it. Again, this came straight, I believe it was Karthik, who I spoke to at the time. How many chapters are in the game? The answer is 12. I know a lot of people then gripe and say 12, that's crazy, it needs to be longer. My next question was, what is the playtime like? The answer, straight again, this is from Karthik, Vicarious Visions, developer of the game, guy that spent the last 2+ years working on it. The length of Swat Force is going to be comparable to that of SSA and Giants. Giants, of course, had fewer chapters. SSA, I think, 22 plus the 4 APs is 26. Why did they pick 12 was one of my questions. They said it's not predetermined, it's just it took 12 chapters to play out the storyline. What people need to remember before jumping to conclusions here: quantity does not always relate to quality. In my opinion, would I rather have 30 subpar levels, or would I rather have 15 that were awesome? Answer I'm going to go with every time is the 15 that are awesome. I think that could be the case here. Again, we don't know if the levels are going to be significantly longer. We don't know if the bonus missions are going to tie in to make up the gameplay. But the guys were awesome. Karthik and Guha. Great story on them. I might cover that there at the end for you. But 12 chapters, that's what it took to play out the storyline. I'm not worried about it. I saw the game. It looked great. And I'm going to leave it at that. Speaking of the storyline, what is the storyline? In a nutshell, Chaos is using his magic powers to turn good things bad. He has entirely decimated Cloudbreak Islands. Our job as Portal Masters is to rebuild and restore order to Skylanders. Again, also with the gameplay, consider you've got 256 combinations. We won't even go into upgrades or anything like that. Extra play, just trying out all 256 combinations is going to keep you busy for a long time. One of the questions I had is, what is the main hub of the game? This is something along like the lines, this came from Guha after hours at the dinner party. Got to drill him with questions because he was crazy, to kind of sit diagonal from me. Woodboro or Woodboro, something along those lines. It's more of a setting, but it's kind of the main hub. I feel that's close to being correct. Again, I had on the blog, it was kind of hard to hear, but it's not going to be from what I understood, critical as a Dreadyacht, but it's kind of going to be like your central, probably like what you see when you come back in from a save game file and, a day off of playing or something. This was a big one. Will the new Swat Force characters have more individual personalities? This one came, first time I saw it anyway, it was Aura over on Dark Spiral was interested in this one. And this doesn't relate just to the Swat Force like Rattleshake, but all, like every character, Ninja, Stealth Elf, etc. This was, as predicted, something developers love talking about. They spent a lot of time articulating everything. Each and every character in the game will offer up more of a unique persona. Different reactions, voices, and emotes are now involved via the D-pad. A very subtle but incredibly cool trait mentioned is the characters will have their own way of letting you know they're near something special. More on this later. This again came straight from Karthik in the After Hours Swap Force booth demo. We'll take Series 2 Drobot here, and he told me that's actually what they were working on, I guess, that week before E3. Kind of, cleaning up the game, polishing everything out. We will say there's a hat that's hidden somewhere. You're playing as Drobot, he's moving along. There'll actually be like that subtle little thing. You've probably seen it in some games if you play a lot, but Drobot's eyes might kind of drift over this way. And if you're just rushing through, you won't notice it. If you're paying careful attention, you'll actually see Drobot come in, and you'll kind of see his eyes train over. If you think of like Trigger Happy's heroic challenge back from in the day, I think Hobson's Choice, where actually the camera kind of shifted to the correct teleporter to take. Essentially the same concept here, but they'll kind of alert you when there's something of interest nearby, maybe some food, maybe, a legendary treasure, something along those lines. So, the untrained player will just kind of play as Drobot, you'll see that and you'll go on, and then at the end they'll be like, man, I missed a legendary treasure. Someone paying careful attention will see Drobot pass by and kind of do this, and they'll slow down and stop, head this direction, and there's your legendary treasure. Should be something along those lines. The other thing, and this is really, really cool, each character is going to have individual reactions, personalities. He mentioned, I think, Magna Charge. I'm sure it's been so long now. But he said there's like, the Old West level, essentially. We'll just pick up Drobot again, but Magna Charge goes along, and, you like hit him into the cactus. And then if you do it again, he starts to get mad, and then like the third time, he'll actually kind of like attack the cactus. Little things like that, like you could essentially pull out the other 15 SWAT forces. Should each kind of have a different reaction, facial expressions. When they play together, they're supposed to kind of have little interactions. Again, the D-pad's kind of a giveaway of that. But it was something he was really excited, I think, to have been asked. And they actually put in, the time and effort to kind of assign the personalities and different reactions. I think it's something that the core fans are really going to appreciate. Let's see here. The Beanox version, I've already covered that. Again, Wii owners, fear not. It's just going to be the graphics, gameplay, everything like that will be the same. That said, the only thing I could see maybe changing is like the hats. They didn't say this themselves, but that's what we've seen in the past. Like in SSA, each console had a different hat. Not a big deal. Next up, will there be a solo battle mode? This is something I wanted. And again, I'm going to continue to persist on this. But the answer is no. There's not going to be like me versus CPU. Which, for players like myself that are predominantly solo, that really kind of sucks because, like, for example, trying to get the gold hat, you have to do the win 10 PvP matches. For most people, if you got a brother, a sister, friend next door, whatever, you probably have someone play with you a lot. If you're an only child, your parents maybe don't want to play or are horrible, I don't know. If you're like stuck at home and everyone's out of town, it would be cool if I could come in and I could play Hot Dog and Camo. I could be Camo, destroy Hot Dog, and then I could be Hot Dog and the CPU could be Camo. And, essentially when I do all these battles here, instead of me just like doing the votes, I would actually play these things out for you if I could. The only way I can do it is to have 2 Wiimotes, 2 nunchucks, and do like a freaking archaic roleplay game where Dino Ring throws a boomerang and then Mornado launches a tornado or something. Each match would probably take like 25 minutes or something crazy like that. Turn by turn, essentially. It's something that I, as a guy that picked the game up on day one, SSA that is, and have stuck with it for all this time, I would love to see that come in. Obviously not this time, but in the next installment. That would be huge. Again, for most people, if you have, the other person, it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. That's actually the developer's ideas. It's why would you play by yourself? It's so much more fun with a friend or family member, etc. I agree with that. But I mean, there's times like when I'm playing through the game at 2 in the morning, there's nobody here to play with. I'm solo, everyone else is asleep. It's when I get to kind of relax, do my own thing. If I could do myself versus CPU, I could have so much awesome content up for everyone. It's something I hope they'll consider for the future. I've seen other people mention that, there's not going to be any online or anything this time either. Personally, before we see online battles, etc., I would like to have the option of doing the CPU. Maybe it's something they'll, kind of put emphasis on in the future. Maybe not. Even if there had to be a standalone game, as much as I'd hate to, have everyone shell $60 or $40 out, just to be able to play Chill versus Fright Rider, Sprocket versus Mornado, etc. If it was done right, I would actually pick it up, just so I could do, hey, I want to be Warnado, and I'm going to go through and battle every character I have and see what his record is at the end of it. For, again, players like myself that are solo, that would be awesome. Hopefully that gets some consideration, from Activision and the developers in the future. Let's see, will there be any benefits to having giants in the gameplay? I think I asked this behind closed doors and with the developers, and the answer was yes. What that means exactly, I'm not sure. But I thought, man, you got Crusher, you got Tree Rex, Bouncer, Hothead, Eyebrow, you got all these cool characters, they're not coming back. I actually asked if they were, and I was told they couldn't tell me. I'm assuming no. It seems like they would have said something or revealed one of them by now. I feel like if Crusher was coming back, we'd have like his super awesome repos that we've seen, or an Ingenie or something. Until we rule out everything, I guess we can't completely say it's not going to happen. But I was told possibly. It's kind of like, which castaways are coming back, and the answer was, we can't tell you. It was like, are there going to be any giants? And it's like, maybe. So does that mean yes? Maybe. Does it mean no? Maybe. That's why it's maybe. It's like right down the flipping middle, and we basically don't know anything. It's essentially in a nutshell. But I guess they haven't ruled it out. That was like the intent of that question. Will there be like a Series 2 giant of some sort? I don't know, maybe they'll save that for like the next from Toys for Bob, something along those lines. I don't know. That'll be one of the things I continue to forward on, see if we can maybe figure out or something. Let's see here. Will fan favorites and established elements like Oryx Shop, hats, legendary treasures, story scrolls, treasure chests, battle arenas, and sky stones be back? Answer is yes. All of it, I don't know. What I can say is they've confirmed there's going to be the completion screen at the end of the level. That's essentially, your objectives, your collections. I think that's how they refer to them. Those should still be in place. That means we're probably going to see the time goals, enemy goals, and then on the flip side, treasure chest, legendary treasure, hats. I do know hats. This is straight from Karthik again at the booth, but he said there were a ton of hats in the game. So again, we'll say that you're going by maybe a hat that's hidden. You might see Drobot's eyes shift, and sounds like it should be interesting. Next question, again, this is one that kind of seems stupid till you start to think about it, but it was, what happens if you only put half of a Swat Force character on the Portal of Power? The more I thought about that one, the more I had to find out, and I actually did. I've already uploaded the video. Hopefully you've seen it. If not, essentially, I was there with the 3DS and Wii U guy. My personal thoughts were, let's take Washbuckler, for example. I want to put the buckle end on the portal without the wash part. I wanted to see like the legs moving around, and then, like looking for the head, essentially. And then if you have wash on and buckler off, essentially have like a, head roaming the screen with no legs. Maybe have them cross paths looking for each other. Hey, idiot, get your other half on or something. All that happens, it's like your typical error message codes like, hey, please put a Skylander on the Portal of Power. So essentially, only half of a Swap Force won't be recognized. Someone brought up, what if you're a two-player Swap Force? Obviously, if your buddy's got Washbuckler on and you've got half of Night Shift, it's going to be the same thing. It's probably going to say player 2, put a character on the Portal of Power. When I ran it by the 3DS guy, I thought my idea was awesome. I mean, he was laughing like I was, thought, hey, you have half running around on the screen. When I ran it by the developers, not as amused with it. And the reason is, when they beta test the game, they actually do it with kids of different age brackets. And one of the things they said is like the kids, always want to change out characters, go from Drobot to Shroom Boom to Sunburn. And they felt like with the Swap Force, if they like give something humorous like that, it's going to like encourage them to do that, and they want them to like focus on the gameplay. It's fine if you want to go from Night Shift to Washbuckler to Wash Shift to Magna Charge to, Free Blade or something, and I do mean Free Blade, not Freeze Blade, just like a combination. Their logic was they don't want to like distract from the gameplay. They want you to actually do it right, get back to the game. So I can see where they're coming from. That said, I still think it would be hilarious. Coming up, this was really cool to me. If you recall, I'm an Android guy. I've got the Samsung Galaxy. Picked up the iPad mini for the trip, and mainly so I could play Battlegrounds because I bought it to get Royal Double Trouble. And I can't play it on Android because it's iOS only. At the dinner, obviously, I didn't want to ask this type of stuff at the booth, but at the dinner, kind of while you had time to process and think of everything you've seen in the day, I actually got to ask Guha if there would be Android versions ever. His answer was they'd love to do it. The reason that it's not out like Battlegrounds for Android right now, it's simple. These guys are perfectionists. They want everything to be perfect. They started out with iOS. They've got Cloud Patrol, Lost Islands, and then Battlegrounds now. And I think once they get to a point where they feel like, hey, we nailed this, we've got the perfect setup, we know just how to price it, we know just how to do the extras, how to incorporate the characters, continue it on for people. I feel like once they get to that point where they're, satisfied with everything they've done, we very well could see the Android version. Is anything in the pipeline immediately? No. But like I said, what they're kind of going for is basically, let's perfect this and then take it from there. So that's pretty sweet in my opinion. Skylanders merchandise and accessories. Here's what I know. There's virtually limitless market for these products. The big deal, in the back booth, private demo, no cameras, they mentioned Penguin. And I've obviously read the books. I know a lot of people are unaware of them, but not the activity books and everything like that, but I actually like the story books. You got Spyro, Gilgrim, they kind of go through the core characters. And then they have like the Book of Elements and everything, but they're going to continue to have things like that. Penguin Publishers, they said, were on big time with it, and that's good news for like the hardcore fan that wants like all the information you can attain. Similarly, the Power A stuff was awesome. Those guys have a ton of really cool stuff coming out this time around. Flynn's ship, the islands with the shooting cannon, the wall display, where it's like a flush mount island and you can actually have the little bridges connect. Basically, it's kind of like storage meets display, whereas their cases are great and you can like store the Skylanders and you can stack them now. Come out with a lot of upgrades even to what they've already done. But then for like the person that say maybe on the coffee table, wants to have the Dread Yacht set up with the islands behind it, you can essentially come in and put your Skylanders on display. The cases, it's kind of the same stuff we've seen, but with Swap Force, they're upgrading them. There's like LED piping on some of them, which is going to be killer. Other thing that's real big, they're getting into the mobile market. A couple of the Activision people I caught with these ahead of time, they have like the hot dog smartphone covers. You can see that in the Power A video. That stuff was really cool. They're getting, like I said, into that mobile end of things, so they're going to have like tablet sleeves, iPhone, iPod cases. Probably based on how well those move, maybe they'll move into other ends of it. But there's going to be some pretty cool stuff coming out. Let's see here. That is pretty much it for now. Again, there's still quite a few questions I'd like to see answered. I think we can actually get, answers to some of them. If there's something that you've seen that's, being debated, I know a lot of people, it's like, oh, what about the heroics, etc. I'll ask. I mean, I can't promise I'll get a response or get an answer or, something that's definitive and not just, I can't tell you right now. But if they relay generic information to me, I'll report back to you. If they go into extreme detail and outline the entire upgrade process, etc., I'll detail that back to you. Again, I'm going to send in some questions, basically what I had ahead of time, that you can see on the blog that wasn't answered or I didn't get to kind of explore. I'll send all that in. I've thought of a few more things. And, like I said, I'm not afraid to ask. The door is open. They're encouraging, people like myself to ask and try to get information and relay it. And for better or worse, I will take them up on that offer. And I don't mind going to the point of being annoying because, quite frankly, I want to know, you want to know, and I would love to be the one to tell you. So, like I said, if you have questions, by all means, ask. Tell me what you still want to know, what you need verification on. If there's something that's kind of unclear to you, try to explain it to me. I'll relay it to them. And if I hear back, I will tell you. Like I said, I don't know if they're expecting the number and volume of questions I personally still have. But I'm not afraid to add to that. And worst comes to worst, we don't hear back. We're no better off than we were before. But, hey, if we get answers or just a tiny bit of information, I call that a win. Again, obviously, I'd love to come in and say, hey, why don't you shoot me the character poster, the names of all the characters, the elements, outline all the, powers, etc., give me the slogans. They're not going to do that. It's going to be the same status quo we've seen the last 2 times where it's slowly released. That said, maybe I ask at the right time and we get information on something. You never know until you ask, and that's what I intend to do. So, like I said, whatever you want to know, what you still need verification on, if I can't tell you personally, I'll ask. And I'm not going to send like a question a day, and I'm probably going to have some fairly ridiculously long length of text and shoot that off and just, we'll see what happens. So, like I said, it's really cool what I learned from all this. Number one, SWAT Force is going to be awesome. Number two, the people tied in with the game on all ends, development, production, beta testers, even just like if they hired out any of these people as like product specialists. The PR company, everybody was awesome. They're all gung-ho on the series. They truly care about it. They realize they've got a hit here. They don't want to screw it up. That's why they keep Ghost Roaster active and Camo active. They respect the legacy characters. They realize you've sunk a ton of money into this stuff. That's why it's successful, and they want to take care of you. It's not a deal where, he bought Voodoo, let's make him not operable, and you have to get Series 2 for SWAT Force. It's, hey, this guy's got all 8 of the characters that weren't reposed in Giants. Let's make sure that those things work in SWAT Force. I know, again, a lot of people try to say, they're just money hungry, yada yada. Yeah, they want you to come in and buy all 16 SWAT Force and pick up the new Light Core characters and everything along those lines. On the flip side, they're going to take care of you, and they want you to be able to play everything that you've currently got and have already picked up. So yeah, the goal is to continue to say, hey, here's something really cool you're probably going to like. Why don't you spend some money on it? But on the flip side, where I'll go out and buy all 16 SWAT Force characters, I can still come in and play as Whamshell, Boomer, Camo, Dino Ring, etc. I can bust out Dark Spyro from SSA and play him in SWAT Force. So, it's common sense. It's a good business move. Like I said, when you kind of see it from the flip side and you actually equate the people, not just like the giant corporate stereotype to it, you realize that there's people that are very passionate about it, that care about it. It's their livelihood. They want to do it right. Really cool part for me, again, aside from the experience in and of itself and meeting everyone, getting to talk and just drill with questions of the developers. It's Karthik and Guha. Vicarious Visions are up in Albany, New York. And actually brothers. And the really cool thing is they started the company when they were in high school. As you know, if you're in high school or you're a little younger than that, you know, your teachers, parents, friends, family, older people, they always tell you, you know, video games are a waste of your time, yada yada. There's two guys in high school that started a company. I'm sure they were probably scorned, ridiculed, everything along those lines. They loved it. They kept with it. They built it into what it is today. And they actually just both went back. They just got another degree from MIT. Probably didn't have to do that, but they're at a point where they could. And they've spent, one of the things we learned, they've been developing Swat Force since before SSA came out. That's 2+ years of development time. And they're really dedicated to it. They want everything to be perfect. When you speak straight to the the two guys at the very top, the brothers, that started this in high school back, I think they said it was the 80s or something. They've kind of come up, and they're at the point now, you know, they're at the top. And they're still, both of them, extremely humble. And that's, you know, not something you expect to just actually have them there in the booth with us and wanting to answer the questions and wanting to see how people react to it. Really, really cool part of the experience. Similarly, and I can't stress this enough, they actually keep up with the community. Step 3, Activision, Vicarious Visions, Toys for Bob does it. I was unaware. I assumed it was just people that wanted to see Series 2 Drobot unboxed, what he looked like in hand. Apparently they actually watched videos too, skim some of them, read the forum posts. Obviously they're not going to be on there trolling the board, posting, you know, 100 times a day, leaving video comments. But they're there, they're watching it, they want to see what we think, how we react. Ultimate goal from that, which is smart, is what can we do to make the game better? And what can we do, you know, to bring more people to the table, make it a better experience? There's not a lot of people that go to that extreme. You know, you crank something out, like Skylanders in general, sells great, and you just rinse and repeat, continue to crank it out, milk it to the ground. Like I said, when you get away from the corporate stereotype, you see the people, you know, the PR people, the copywriters, the ones that set up things like bringing myself and everyone else to E3. Get the first-hand feedback to relay to you. That's the reason we got to go. You know, like I said, I know Rob from CoinOp, he's a veteran. He's been there, I don't know how many years now, probably, seems like he might have said 8 or 9. But most of us, it was our first time. And the reason is they went through and they picked out the people that, you know, had content on Skylanders and, you know, presented it in a fashion that they thought related well to an audience. And it was like, hey, best marketing we can do is bring people like this in, let them experience it firsthand, and then relay the message to the people that watch their channels. That's actually something I'm a big fan of. I do marketing at work from time to time. Like I said, I built up car clubs, etc. And that's what you do. You go for the grassroots level. It seems so different than, you know, just taking the big money approach, advertising, pushing it on all the big, you know, magazines, your big platforms, to actually go in, you know, and you've got all this upper level stuff right here, and to actually come down to the people that purchase the figures, get excited about it, share it with everyone else and say, hey, you know, we want you to come experience this and tell everyone else. You actually cover, you know, more of the base that way. You've got all these different people involved, and it gets the word out. I think it's effective. If not, it's a heck of a dang good time. You know, I would have said that differently. I try to keep everything clean for you. But all in all, I mean, it was an awesome time. Like I said, I spent most of the time just drilling away with questions, trying to get answers to what you wanted to know. As stated, I'm kind of more like the details person. You can probably tell some people can unbox Series 2 Drobot in 3 minutes. I spend about 20 or so going over the finite details of everything. But different strokes for different folks. Again, it was an awesome time. Most importantly for you right now is the window is still open for me to relay questions. I plan to send some in here very, very soon. Pretty much every time we learn anything of importance, I can crank out another video for you, post it up on the blog, etc. So, like I said, let me know. I expect very good things from Swat Force. I'm excited about it. Something else I can confirm, I mentioned this in the other video, but Starstrike, she is a light core character, brand new obviously. She should have a regular pose. Don't hold me to that, but that's logical, what we've seen, and we were kind of led to believe that behind closed doors. But she is a female. I can't stress that enough. Still saw some people debating that it was a he wizard or something. It's a she. That's what I thought. That's what the Wii U test guy in the booth thought. And then you can actually hear Karthik in the other video that I just put up. We actually went through the line. He was talking about her powers, and he confirmed it is a she. So all the Swap Force characters are male. This is just kind of some probably common knowledge by now. As for the characters themselves, what I plan to do is like take the still shots, everything like that, and actually put those on the blog. I've got the character list, character roster, if you will. I think that would be easier than me explaining them to you here, obviously, because I can't pick up Polar Whirlwind and have her turn into Magna Charge and everything. But the magnets work great. You can do one-hand operation. I filmed and was able to just pick them up, swap them. Some of the pictures I'll post up soon, you'll be able to kind of get an idea for the size difference. I've seen that as a hot topic here lately. If I remember right, all the data I think is stored. I'm not even going to say because I don't remember right. I'll verify that. But I'm going to end this here. This is probably ridiculously long. And like I said, though, main thing I want you to take from this is, one, Swap Force is going to be a great game. Lot of improvements, a lot of cool things to look forward to. Two, the people at the top and behind the scenes, they actually care about us. They watch what we're doing. They see how we react to things. They try to, counter-react, improve it, make everything better. Keep the core fans happy. Get new people excited and coming in. That's great to perpetuate the series. And then three, for whatever reason, they're still willing to let me ask questions. Again, I can't guarantee we'll get a response or we'll get like actual answers past maybe, hey, can't tell you that right now. But I will ask. If you relay to me what you want to know, or if you need clarification, more details, etc., as stated, I will do my best to find out. So that said, I will end it here. You can follow along on Twitter, like me on Facebook, circle me on Google+. Questions, comments you can ask here on YouTube. For a quicker response, I suggest you use the blog. Link will be at the top of the video description. Or you can just go straight there, oneofwisdom.com. If you like what you see, make sure to subscribe. That way you won't miss any content. Here shortly, I'll go ahead and make a comprehensive blog post where just everything E3 I'll just pile together for you. But if you've missed anything, just scroll back on the recent uploads on YouTube or track over to the blog. I think everything is on currently like the first 2-3 pages, so you can check that out. But again, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. And as always, I will catch you back here shortly, and we'll continue to report back with new Swap Force information as it A, becomes available, or B, we can get it out of someone. So we will shoot for B, maybe learn things a little ahead of time. But again, looks like it's going to be a great game, and I am definitely looking forward to it.